Sun Bin is a descendant of Sun Tzu. He is a master in the art of war in his own right. He served as a military strategist during the warring period in the state of Qi. Here are Sun Bin's art of war quotes. Strategic importance of resource management in warfare. In The Art of War by Sun Bin, he said, "Do not fight a protracted battle against an enemy whose provisions are enough to outlast you." This quote serves as a crucial reminder of the importance of logistical consideration in warfare. Engaging in a prolonged conflict with an enemy who possesses superior resources can lead to significant disadvantage for the attacking force. It underscores the necessity of commanders to assess not only their own supply and resources, but also those of the enemy. A protracted battle can drain a nation's finances, morale, and manpower, ultimately leading to defeat. Therefore, it is important for military leaders to seek decisive engagement that can lead to a swift victory rather than becoming entangled in the long conflict that favor the enemy's endurance. The wisdom in this advice lies in recognizing the limits of one's own capabilities and the strategic importance of timing and resource management in military operations. The importance of strategic preparation and long-term implication in warfare. In The Art of War by Sun Bin, he said, "The state that wages war without preparation will suffer, and the state which is warlike will perish. 3 generations from now is really when one needs to worry about the fate of Qi." This statement speaks the dire consequences of entering into warfare without adequate planning and preparation. It highlights the necessity of the state to engage in thorough strategic assessment and to cultivate a strong military foundation before embarking on any conflict. A lack of preparation can lead to chaos on the battlefield, with troops untrained and ill-equipped to face the determined enemy. Moreover, the phrase, "the state which is warlike will perish," serve as a cautionary note about the danger of militaristic approach that prioritize aggression over strategy. This reference to 3 generations emphasizes the long-term ramification of current decisions, meaning whatever decisions you make will affect 3 generations ahead. The impact of poorly conceived military actions can echo through time, affecting future generations and the overall stability of the state. This foresight urges leaders to consider the broader implications of their actions, advocating for a balanced approach that weighs both military readiness and the potential consequences of war. The power of timing and surprise in military strategy. In The Art of War by Sun Bin, he said, "Strategic advantage is to attack the enemy when he least expects you, catching him unprepared." This insight underscores the significance of timing and surprise in military strategy. The element of surprise can lead to a decisive factor in determining the outcome of a conflict. By launching an attack when the enemy is unprepared, a commander can exploit the vulnerabilities and gain a significant upper hand. This principle not only applies to physical act of combat, but also to psychological aspects of warfare, where instilling fear and uncertainty in the enemy can lead to a disarray within their ranks. Effective military leaders must constantly seek to understand the rhythm of the enemy, identifying moments of weaknesses or distractions that can be capitalized upon. This quote encourages commanders to be proactive and innovative in their strategies, emphasizing the need to be adaptable and cunning in the face of ever-changing battlefield landscape. The crucial role of trust in military leadership. In The Art of War by Sun Bin, he said, "He who does not have the trust of his sovereign should not assume command of the army." This statement highlights a key idea in military leadership and governance, focusing on how important trust is between a leader and their ruler. Trust isn't a personal trait. It is a crucial part that affects how well an army works together. If a commander does not have the ruler's confidence, it can be tough to get the troops to be loyal and committed. Soldiers are more likely to follow a leader who has the backing of their superiors, as this creates a sense of unity and shared goals. Plus, If a leader isn't trusted by the ruler, it can cause miscommunications and strategy issues, putting the mission at risk. So in war, where decisions can be life or death, not having trust can lead to uncertainty and hesitation. Knowing there is no blessing or trust in the commander, it is best not to take command as the outcome will be disastrous. So, Sun Bin's point is a reminder of the complex dynamics of power, leadership, and the need for mutual trust to win on the battlefield. Sun Bin's strategy, balancing quick victories and sustainable power. In The Art of War by Sun Bin, he said, "The prosperity of the state lies in quick victories, its strength in enabling people to rest and recuperate, and its decline in frequent expeditionary wars." This statement highlights a strategy emphasizing swift victory in warfare. Sun Bin, a key military strategist, recognized that a state's prosperity is tied to military outcomes. Quick victories boost morale and conserve resources, enabling economic and social growth. Successful states can then focus on domestic stability. Sun Bin also stresses the importance of rest for both military and civilians. A rested army is more effective, and civilians who recover from war contribute better to the economy, maintaining state strength during peace and conflict. On the other hand, Sun Bin warned against too frequent wars, which can drain the resources and cause societal unrest. So continuous warfare leads to economic instability and weaken the state's foundation, risking its long-term security. Sun Bin insights reminds us of balancing military ambition with sustainable power. His principle applies to both ancient and modern strategies, guiding leaders to prioritize quick victories and the well-being of population for a resilient society. What can we learn from Sun Bin's quotes? Sun Bin is a descendant of Sun Tzu, and he may not be as famous as Sun Tzu, who wrote the Art of War book. Sun Bin, what can we learn from Sun Bin? What we can learn from him is the importance of resource management. One must be prepared and have all the necessary equipment and skills for the army to be prepared for war. Also, most important, what you can learn from him is long-term implication. One must consider many factors before going to war, because there's always long-term implication in any warfare. So a lot of consideration need to be made. Also, when one goes into war, you got to look at the power of timing. War in fighting with the enemy is all about timing, looking for the right timing to win the war. In winning the war, the element of surprise is also very important as part of the strategy, as what's suggested by Sun Bin. So it is crucial. Another part of crucial is leadership. The leadership between the general and his army. At the same time, also the sovereign with the general. So the sovereign and general has to be in harmony before even the general can able to lead his army into the war. To know more, learn the art of war.